Good morning, it's wine o'clock again here at the Wineman's, and instead of a tasting in the evening, I'm going to be telling you what I've been getting up to at 8:30 this morning, where I've been joining the Berton Vineyards winery team, all the winemakers, all of the staff, in tasting all of these individual wines to make up the assemblage that will be known as the Gold Reserve Black Shiraz going forward. Now, winemakers, when they are getting together, will often do this because all the wine is basically a blend. Because you have here 4 different growing areas. So you've got Mount Lofty, you've got Heathcote, you've got Gundagai, and you've got Coonawarra. All of them producing Shiraz for Berton Vineyards. And what they've done is they've taken samples of each of these. And as you can see, you've got Mount Lofty, you've got a little Berton Vineyards thing here. And then it tells you exactly how many litres, 2,400 litres, made in the 2019 vintage. Look at Mount Lofty number 2. Only 2,000 litres made in this particular vintage. Now we look at Heathcote. Shiraz, this is their number 1. These are from different plots within the Heathcote area. 4,200 litres. And then Heathcote 2, 5,000 litres. But then we go to Gundagai, and you've got 3,000 litres used in this particular wine that they're going to make. So Coonawarra, much more, 10,000 litres. Now what winemakers do is they put what they think are the best mix in terms of 12 mil of this, 5 mil of that, 20 mil of this, whatever the case may be, mixing them all in together, and they come up with different styles. Now, if we take a look at this one, it's probably a very good example because this is a blend of all of these different wines that are all together in one glass. This second one leaves out some, keeps some others. This one has, for example, no Coonawarra Cabernet at all. Sorry, Coonawarra Shiraz at all in it. Now, of the 3, these particular ones, this was my favourite. Now, the reason for that is I found the Coonawarra Shiraz it's a little bit too bitter, a little bit too green for my liking. Didn't have as much fruit, didn't have as much structure, and I felt that it affected the taste of these particular 2, which I didn't feel were very approachable. But that's just my own individual thoughts and my own individual take on it. Now, the great thing for winemakers is they're far more skilled than me in this. So they will know exactly how a wine will develop and how it will taste 6 months, a year later. Now, these wines have obviously been shipped from Australia, and I've been very lucky to be the only Australian and the only Berton employee to be invited to this special wine tasting. So in the winery, normally you use great big pipettes, and the little individual parts and parcels of the wine are put into the sum total, and then they pour it into a glass, taste it, and then they come together as a team and agree. Now, what I've got to do later, and the rest of the Berton team are going to do, is they're going to mix up their own little styles. And we're going to say, okay, let's have more of the Gundagai, less of the Mount Lofty, maybe some more of the Heathcote, whatever the case may be. And we'll come up with what we think is the right blend. The winemakers will then go away and they will test out what they think. And then as a team, they'll come together and they'll say, this is the blend for this vintage, for the Gold Reserve. Now, the Gold Reserve, because it's not going to be like the normal Black Shiraz, or even the Winemakers Reserve Black Shiraz, or any of the other individual Shirazes. I mean, the Gundagai, for example, is a beautiful Shiraz. The 2018 is one of my favourite wines at the moment. But when you're mixing it together, you don't want a wine to be like another wine. It's got to be big, it's got to be bold, it's got to have lots of structure, lots of flavour, lots of taste, but it's also got to be standalone in its own right. And this is where the skill of these winemaker guys comes in, and women, because they know that, say, for example, the Heathcote or the Mount Lofty has spent a certain amount of time in oak cask, some of them some time in the stainless steel cask, some have no oak influence at all, and blending those in and seeing how it affects the structure of the wine will mean that the overall resulting wine, hopefully, will be amazing. If it's anything like the other Gold Reserve, the one that I got a little bit of, I know it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So thank you, Bob. It was an amazing morning for me. Not used to tasting wine at 8:30 in the morning, I must say. But for you guys, it was 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. So once again, thanks. And I will update you with a follow-on video when we actually get to taste and see what this Gold Reserve Black Shiraz is going to be like. Hope you've enjoyed this little expose of what goes on in winemaking teams. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Cheers.